Hello, I'm Kev F, and I'm running down my top 10 TV of 2024. Do please look at the rest of my chart where I've run down from 30 to 21. I've looked at sequels, I've looked at shows that had lost it, shows that we gave up on. I've looked at the biggest disappointment of the year. Now here's the top 10. And at number 10, it's Doctor Who. Now this is, if only so that the poor old BBC can get a mention somewhere at the top end of my charts. Doctor Who is in its number 10 slot, and in my TV of the year, it's been in the number 10 slot in 2011, 2013, 2017, 2018, 2020 and 2023. If you must know, its highest position was at number 4 in 2014. In the middle of this short season, while we were enjoying brilliant episodes like Boom and Dot and Bubble and 73 Yards, this was shaping up to top my TV of the year. I was being absolutely blown away and delighted. I was loving it, regardless of how frustrating it was to have 2 Doctor Light episodes out of such a short series of only 8 episodes. And we were getting used to the new Doctor. There's no denying it started shakily with the music-drenched comic strip nonsense, which was Space Babies, and then the one with the fat Beatles, The Devil's Chord, which I enjoyed. I did like that. But once it got on to the strong stuff in the middle of the series, it was fantastic. I didn't mind Rogue with its silly bird masks and a diverting love story, which I bet gets forgotten. Yeah, I bet it does. But this was all going great. But the final 2 episodes with Sutekh, the dog that had been stuck to the TARDIS forever, and the really disappointing story about who Ruby's mum had been. I mean, if you're going to make an series-long story arc thing like that, you just can't end it like that. Nobody was pleased with that. What can I say? Nobody was pleased with it. It was the poo in the punch bowl that put paid to any love for this particular series of Doctor Who. Let us hope it wins us back next year. Number 9 in my top 10, Agatha All Along. Now, this is how you spend a stupidly large budget on a comic book franchise and keep it entertaining. This ploughed its own furrow. It was a musical about big gay witches without clashing with this summer's movie offering, which is a big thing about big gay witches. Wicked. It's not Wicked. It's different from Wicked. This was a Marvel series you could enjoy without having to do homework in advance. You didn't have to have seen every other Marvel series. I mean, it helped if you had, but it wasn't a problem if you hadn't. You had to see WandaVision. That would help a little bit. But unlike the songs in this year's Doctor Who, which were sometimes in the way, this had Down the Witch's Road, which is catchy. It's a solid corker. That is on loads of playlists already. Love the Witch's Road. And this episode, the episode where they killed off Patti LuPone. If they'd have killed off Patti LuPone, that would have been a fun episode as well. But they killed off Patti LuPone. That's not really a spoiler. I think you saw it coming. I mean, it's not a spoiler to say quite a lot of people die along the way when you're dealing with witches whose... she starts off by having killed lots of people. Let's face it, she's going to kill a lot of people. But there was a standalone episode, is what I'm saying, and it was just amazing. So there's a season 2. It set itself up for a season 2, and judging by the way Loki went before it, season 2 is probably going to be dreadful. But let's hoping it doesn't go down the pan. At number 8, Phantasmus. Now, this is a hidden gem that I've not heard anyone else even mention. Okay, it made it into the Guardian's top 50, but I've not heard anyone have much of an opinion on it. It's a camp, surrealist comedy written by and starring Julio Torres, across whom I've never come before. This fell somewhere between The Mighty Boosh and Over the Wall, with touches of Pee-wee's Playhouse and Mr. Show. A surprising array of star guests for such a low-key show, with Emma Stone, Natasha Lyonne, Tilda Swinton, heaps more. It was really worth seeking out wherever they're hiding it now. At number 7 in my TV of the year is Severance. When we got Apple TV this year, I asked for recommendations, and this was the single most recommended show. Everybody said you've got to see this, and it's easy to see why. It's quite the most mysterious show to begin with. It really goes at its own pace. I think it shook a lot of people off by going quite so slowly to begin with, and its secrets reveal themselves really slowly as well. But the sci-fi conceit was smashingly original. The twists were brilliantly unpredictable, and the cliffhanger that that the season was left on means that the new season, which starts in January of the new year, it can only disappoint. I really hope it doesn't. Number 6, Rivals. I confess I was ignorant of and perhaps a little prejudiced against Jilly Cooper's bonk-busting Rotcher novels, and I would have had no high hopes for this had it not been vouchsafed by Marina Hyde and her inside knowledge. She does my favourite podcast of the year, as you will have seen earlier in my chart. The adaptation seems to have been a labour of love for Dominic Treadwell Collins, all the way through the time he was working on EastEnders and other things. And everything from the 1980s period detail, because I was there, so I know, and the accurate evocation of the morals and mores of the time. It's captured perfectly when needed, exaggerated in the most enjoyable pantomime fashion when it's called for. Spot-on characters, perfectly convincing relationships, devilish double-crossing and backstabbing, and lots of something which is quite rare on TV today, which is raunchy sex without it being weird or scary. And it's a TV drama where no one had to die every other episode, which is a rarity if you look at the whole rest of my charts, and it's something we could do with more of. It's a joy and a treat, and I do hope they plan to adapt more of them. And number 5 in my TV of the year, Ripley. I like the promotional images. It's Ripley and the glass is all Ripley. Do you see what they did there? Cinematography and sound design are something that I often forget about. And too often big budget TV spend all their money building fantasy worlds and show off shots that can at times add little to the storytelling. So it's a delight this year to have a period piece, an adaptation of a 1955 crime novel that devoted as much care to the visuals as this did. Stephen Zalen, who is the screenwriter of Schindler's List and Gangs of New York, he's written and directed this, and he nails every detail. The black and white photography is so well done and full of outstanding images throughout. The evocation of 1950s Italy is perfect. You're not taken out of this world for a second. Then, within these immaculate frames, he takes us through the drama with such an exquisite sense of tension that it becomes the most gripping experience. Andrew Scott is suitably creepy. Look at him being creepy and Ripley, creepy, and he's charming. I'd like to think this was what Patricia Highsmith had in mind. And number 4 in my TV of the year was Fargo Season 5. This escapes my sequel zone, see previous blogs, by quite a wide berth. The 5th season of Fargo started the year with a bang, setting a benchmark that every subsequent show had to try and match. Very few did. I've never seen Juno Temple in anything before, so I didn't even know that she was English, and I didn't know that she was the daughter of Julian Temple, the not very good film director. Noah Hawley's story is, as always, nuttily unpredictable, with a cosmic and spiritual layer and mystery running through it all. The characters and performances are smashing and original. The guy with the eye patch who used to be in Kids in the Hall, fantastic. Violent extremes that are really painful. The bottle episode with the marionettes, and it's the nuttiest of the year. If you've not seen Fargo season 5, you don't have to have seen season 1, 2, 3 and 4, because they've got no connection between each other at all. Very slight connections. The denouement, just amazing. The show about which the words "you didn't see that coming" are very much a mantra. Number 3, Baby Reindeer. Not long ago, this would have been either a BBC 2 or a Channel 4 show. I can't imagine anyone suggesting, even 5 years ago, that a drama based on a true story of a comedian at the Edinburgh Fringe would have been the sort of thing that the Americans would have been making for international sales. But that's what happened here. Of course, had it been made by the established broadcasters rather than the disruptor Netflix, then someone in the process would have cleared it for compliance, and it wouldn't have got itself in such trouble by apparently libelling a couple of real people. But it's an ill wind, because as well as having a TV classic to look back on, Netflix will by now have a well-supported compliance department. Oh God, I'm running out of time. At number 2, it's Slow Horses. As mentioned before, this is one of those shows that would have been a BBC One production just a few years ago. It's set and shot in London. It's adapted by Will Smith off of The Thick of It, directed by blokes who've directed Doctor Who, starring the actor who was the lead in my top TV show of last year, Jack Lowden, who is in The Gold. And it's a BBC One flagship drama from top to toe, except it's on Apple TV and has the slightly bigger budget. Has that made it any better? It's hard to tell. But despite the fact that it's a milestone marking the demise of broadcast TV as we know it, is absolutely fantastic. I'm running out of time, so stay tuned for my number 1 TV of the year.